Hi there guys and girls, I have something new again for you in this anniversary month. I know a lot of people have requested me to do this in the past, and I was always like, yeah, I'll get to it one day, you know. And that's been the case with a lot of things I've always wanted to do, like with Mortal Kombat reviews. I haven't always just wanted to talk about the game. I've wanted to sort of cover all the media, you know, CDs, TV shows, etc. So something I never got to was Mortal Kombat The Journey Begins. So I thought we'd do that review now. First I gotta say, I bought The Journey Begins on videotape. I don't have the tape with me, it's in my storage. But it came with the tape, it came with a little Mortal Kombat movie sticker in there. I still got all that. I played the tape a lot, you know, because back then, anything Mortal Kombat, I just grabbed it, you know. And, you know, I liked it at the time. I thought, it's great, you know. It's awesome. It's Mortal Kombat. You know, if it's Mortal Kombat, it's good. But honestly, and it's not terrible, but, well, it's terrible in certain ways. And I'm going to explain this. It hasn't aged well, this thing. That's the problem. This thing has not aged well at all. And the problem with the Mortal Kombat Journey Begins animated show is that it combines 2D animation and CGI scenes that are really, really bad. Like terrible. And if you took those CGI scenes out and just made them 2D, you probably would have had something that was decent and held up today. But when you watch those CGI scenes now, they look really bad. And the thing is, they don't look bad as in, like, there's some backgrounds of the CGI and they're like, okay, that's decent. Do you know what I mean? But where it starts to really look bad is in the animations, when the characters are like, you know, and literally the arm looks like they've made this 3D rendered body, and the arm's like just attached here. You can tell it's just on like a pivot, like and it's not even that fast. It's like you know, it just doesn't look good, you know. The sounds that they used in the show are terrible too. A lot of times when there's fights, you get all this weird like you know, screams and gibberish over the top. It's like too much, which is a shame because the music is actually really good for this show. The Journey Begins soundtrack's actually really nice. It actually really accompanies the scenery and the story well. So the soundtrack's really good. The sounds aren't that great. The CG scenes are awful, but the 2D stuff's pretty decent. But you know, the core of this show is in the story. So it starts off with an intro, you know, talking about Outworld has won, you know, the last 9 tournaments in a row, you know, and they must not win the 10th tournament. They must not win Mortal Kombat. We get this intro, you know. Then we're introduced to Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya on the boat. Liu Kang's meditating, Johnny Cage is throwing up over the side, and Sonya's trying to get her radio working, you know. And then they meet and talk to each other. Sonya says, I need to speak to the captain. She walks off. And then she tries to get into like the captain's hold, and Sub-Zero's blocking the door. And Sub-Zero says, this hold is off limits. No one may enter, you know. She says, I need to use the ship's radio. Now move, you know. And Sub-Zero won't let her in. He freezes her, you know. And then Shang Tsung comes out and says, you know, can I be of some assistance, you know, and basically says, you know, he says he's the tournament master, you know, you've been chosen, and she says, chosen by who? And he says, you'll know that soon enough, you know. And then they disappear, and then he comes back out, and he says to Sub-Zero, these 3 are most dangerous adversaries. If they reach the tournament because of some tragic accident, Outworld will win the next tournament. And this is what's great about this little cartoon, is that it explains why Scorpion and Sub-Zero are teamed up against the good guys. And this is something that was in the movie and a lot of people hated. I see that comment a lot, as if Scorpion and Sub-Zero work together with Shang Tsung. That's bullshit. But this actually explains it. So Shang Tsung sends Sub-Zero to attack the good guys, right? Scorpion appears, and then Shang Tsung says to Scorpion, if you want to appear in the hallowed victory call of your clan, you have to defeat Sub-Zero yourself. If the 3 warriors from Earth defeat Sub-Zero, you'll never have your chance. Help Sub-Zero now, and then you can personally kill him later. You know? That's awesome. That is really cool. And that explains that scene. Unfortunately, that wasn't put in the movie, but it was put in this little animated short, which is kind of cool. You know, so then they have their fight scene. Sub-Zero attacks, you know, starts throwing ice balls, literal ice balls, which I think is kind of cool. You know, we get some of that bad CGI again, freezing things and freezing boxes and stuff. And then Scorpion appears and he joins in too, because the good guys are pretty much beating Sub-Zero. Excuse me. And Scorpion appears and tries to level the plane. And Scorpion is pretty much, you know, he's starting to get the upper hand. He finishes, or the fight scene finishes with, he's like, get over here, and you know, kids cartoon, right? So the rope just wraps around Sonya. It doesn't like dig into her chest, and he pulls her across the screen and blood spraying out. You know, yeah, so he's pulling her in, he's wheeling her in, and then Raiden appears, he breaks the rope, you know.
These 3 are most dangerous adversaries. If they fail to reach the island because of some tragic accident, Outworld will win the 10th tournament. Scorpion, to secure a place in the hallowed victory hall of your clan, you must kill Sub-Zero yourself. If the 3 warriors from Earth kill Sub-Zero, you'll never have your chance. Help Sub-Zero now, then you can personally kill him later.
Listen, we were thinking maybe we should hear more of those fairy tales you were talking about.
Fairy tales? There's one right behind you.
Hey, man, you should have your thermostat adjusted, you know?
And he appears and he's very angry, you know. You set your warriors against mine, you know. He tells off Shang Tsung. And from then on, Raiden's pretty much giving us a whole lot of narration for the rest of the show. He talks about, you know, how Shang Tsung is the tournament master and how he became, Shang Tsung took over the tournament. We get our first CGI scene, which is the temple, Shang Tsung versus the temple monk. So, this is where you get a whole scene like that's all CGI, and you know, the animation CGI, the background CGI, the whole thing is CGI. And we got this scene of Shang Tsung fighting. They're talking about how Shang Tsung got control of the tournament by beating up all the temple monks, all the students at the temple, and fought the temple master was the last guy he fought. And he's like, Shang Tsung, you know, he's got the upper hand in the tournament, he's beating this guy. And then Raiden's narration says, it appeared the temple master started to realize what was happening to him, that Shang Tsung could read his thoughts. And that's one of his powers. That Shang Tsung can probe the human soul and know what he's going to do, know how he's going to attack next, sort of thing. And so he's trying to clear his mind and defeat Shang Tsung, but you know, in the end it was no good, and Shang Tsung beat him and killed him. And one thing I will say about this whole scene, as bad as it looks, the animation's terrible and that, I do like the effect when the soul comes out of the body, when it, like, you know, all the colours come out of the Temple Monk and then they kind of spin around and turn into like a green soul ball, and he's like, whoa. I think that effect actually looked kind of cool. I do like that, you know. And yeah, so this is what the cartoon was going for. It was a gimmick. It had these CGI scenes, you know, to try and make it look cutting edge. Like, it was really cool. I mean, it's cool to try and be stylistic, but they should have stuck with one style. You're either 2D or 3D animated, and that's the problem with this. Having a mix is confusing and bad. So then we have a scene where our good guys arrive on the island. Raiden gives more exposition about, you know, that the island is all an illusion. Shang Tsung's magic, you know, formidable magic, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And then we see our good guys, they're with all the other guys. It's the only scene you see them in. You know, apparently these are all the other guys on the boats that arrived to compete in the tournament, all no-name people, you know. Then Shang Tsung appears and he says, welcome to my great tournament, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then Johnny Cage is like, wow, did you see that guy? He had 4, and then it cuts off, you know. And Sonya's like, what guy, you know? And then we get more background, and that's what's great about this show. It gives a lot of background about the Mortal Kombat tournament, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, Shang Tsung, Goro, which is good. This show actually has a little bit of story. And we get this whole background about Sub-Zero. Sonya says, check this out, you know, Scorpion's been following Sub-Zero and that. And then the funniest thing about this show is they can't say Lin Kuei, which is Sub-Zero's clan. They keep saying Lin Q, which always makes me laugh when I watch this now. I'm like, he is Sub-Zero from the clan of the Lin Q. I'm like, Lin Q? What?
Sub-Zero is from the clan of the Lin Q. There are very few of them left in Outworld.
And he's explaining why sort of Scorpion's following Sub-Zero. And then we get our next CGI scene, which is how Scorpion was killed when he was mortal. So it explains that Sub-Zero and Scorpion were bitter clans, and they had this big fight against each other, you know, and you know, they were evenly matched for a while, but in the end Sub-Zero froze Scorpion and killed him, you know, and that's how Sub-Zero lost, and that's why he can't enter the victory hall of his clan in the afterlife, because he lost dishonorably. Yeah, so then we got Raiden again, more talking. This whole episode just talk, just talks your way through it, sort of thing, and explains, you know, more about the tournament, you know, how to win, you know, you can win, you know, Mortal Kombat's not about death but life, all of the usual stuff, you know. And then we see, you know, Goro, Raiden explaining that Goro is the king of the nomads in this, and that he commands them, but even Goro is afraid of Shang Tsung and all this stuff, you know. Then he talks about how, you know, Kung Lao won and beat Shang Tsung a long time ago. Earth was almost going to lose, and Kung Lao beat Shang Tsung. And then Shang Tsung was banished to the Cobalt Mines and he met Goro. Then we get our next CGI scene, which is background story on Goro. And it's a scene that talks about how they wanted to pay respect to their king, the king of the Shokan, and it was Goro and Jurok. And me and Alex from Random Assault always laugh at Jurok. We always laugh at, you know, The Journey Begins. We always have a giggle about it. But, you know, he has this brother, and they have this jewel maker egg that they want to give to the king, or Jurok has it, and Goro says, no, I want to give him the jewel maker egg. So they have this fight, you know, because that's how you do things in the Shokan. So they fight, Goro loses, he grabs the egg off this cliff, and he's about to fall, and he says to Jurok, help me up, don't let the egg fall. So Jurok helps him up, pulls the egg up and pulls Goro up and saves him, you know. And then Goro decides to betray him and kicks him off the cliff again, and now Durak is the one hanging on, and he's got the Jewel Meter egg, and he says the same thing to Goro. Save me, save the Jewel Meter egg. We got to pay, homage to our king. So, he asks for the egg first. So Durak gives Goro the egg, and then as soon as Goro has the egg, he kills Durak. He steps on his hand and kills him. And then this is where Raiden says that the king was very pleased because the only rule in the Shokan is survival of the fittest. And Goro had become ruthless, and that is the way of the Shokan. So even though he killed his brother, that is, he proved he was the better successor to the throne, and that's how he became Goro, Prince of the Shokan. And then we get an update about how, since then Goro has, won every tournament with Shang Tsung and hasn't been able to be stopped, and this currently is the 10th tournament. And then Liu Kang says, but he had to beat my ancestor Kung Lao, who beat Shang Tsung the first time. What happened? And basically Raiden said it the best. Kung Lao was the best warrior that Earthrealm ever had, but Kung Lao, an Earthrealm warrior, had never gone up against someone from Outworld like Goro, who had 4 arms. So even though, Kung Lao was fighting Goro, he was no match for the 4 arms. No match for him. But one of the greatest lines in this scene is that, how's it go? Something about things that would make a mere man tired just made Kung Lao more angry, or something like that, And so basically says that Kung Lao, as the fight went on, and as he was getting beaten by Goro, was getting madder and madder and just wanted to win, but Goro trapped him and killed him, and Shang Tsung took his soul, and that's how, the original Kung Lao was beaten. And Liu Kang is a direct ancestor of the original Kung Lao.
And it cannot be denied that Kung Lao was a magnificent fighter, perhaps the best the Realm of Earth had ever seen. But no one from the Realm of Earth had ever seen a creature like Goro. Punishment that would have killed a mere man simply angered the Shokan warrior. But Kung Lao didn't give up on his attack. He was relentless. Still, Goro was an engine of destruction. Nothing was going to get in his way. Once the Shokan had Kung Lao firmly in his grasp, there was little Kung Lao could do. There are limits to the strength of even the greatest champion.
And then we get the weirdest thing. After all this explanation about this, and earlier on, Raiden on the boat saying, you set your warriors against mine, and all this stuff, you can't attack my guys, the tournament hasn't started yet. We get the weirdest part of this show, which makes no sense. Basically, they see Goro and the Nomads, and Goro says, attack, and just tells them to attack our good guys. And Raiden just says, you even have less time than we thought. And he just disappears. He lets it happen. He's supposed to stop this shit, but he just disappears. He lets Goro and the Nomads attack. And then we get this big fight scene with Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya attacking everyone. And it's going on and on and on and on and on and on. And then Raiden appears and says, and stops the fight. Says, Shang Tsung. It's like, you let it happen. You let the fight happen to the start. You should have stopped it before it even happened. You should have done lightning or some shit. But then you show up and stop the fight, and then Shang Tsung says, doesn't matter anyway, let Mortal Kombat begin, and the tournament starts, sort of thing. And then Raiden says, prepare yourselves, it has begun, and he disappears, and that's it. That's pretty much it for Mortal Kombat, The Journey Begins. We got a whole lot of bios at the end that talk about the characters and mention some of the character special moves, some of their stats, how old they are, some of their fatalities and all this shit, And then you get the credits to roll, and during the credits you get one of the Mortal Kombat 3 codes. I don't know if you guys knew, but when MK3 was coming out, they hid codes in the TV commercial, The Journey Begins, the movie. They hid codes in the advertising, magazine ads, the flyer. This was code number 11. So if you ever see a code, it'll have a number in it. That's how you know what number the codes are. I don't know exactly how many codes there were. I don't think anyone's ever tried to populate a list or anything that I know of. But this code was question mark Goro 11 Goro, which means you had to guess what the 11 was. I think it's, from memory, I think it's question mark Goro question mark Goro. I think that's the code. I think. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for The Journey Begins. This is a review I've wanted to talk about for a while. Like I said, it's just it was a mix of CGI and 2D. I liked the voice acting. I gotta say, I thought the voice acting most of the time was pretty good. The only line that kind of came off kind of crappy was, "This hold is off limits. No one may enter." I think Sub-Zero could have done that line a bit better, but, you know, Shang Tsung had a deep, sort of menacing sound most of the time. You know, Johnny Cage was funny. Sonya was, you know, serious. I like the Sonya in this more than the Sonya in the Defenders of the Realm. The Sonya in the Defenders of the Realm was always just combat time and running in, and, you know, it was kind of weird. Like, this Sonya was more serious. I think she was better. You know, Liu Kang was a better character. Johnny Cage was funny. Shang Tsung was scary. Goro was kind of menacing. Sub-Zero and Scorpion were menacing. You know, Raiden had a really deep sounding voice too. He was great. He actually, you know, even when he first shows up, who cares if it makes any sense? You should care, Johnny Cage. He zaps him straight away, bzzz, for no reason. You know, so it just goes to show that, you know, this Raiden is a bit more badass. He's not like the Raiden in the movie who just shows up and gives them advice. He shows up and he zaps Johnny Cage straight away for disrespecting him. You know, even in Mortal Kombat 9, Liu Kang says, "You should respect him. You should respect Lord Raiden," and da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, Raiden still didn't do anything. In this cartoon, it's the only time that Raiden probably shows up. It's probably the only media where Raiden shows up and he zaps one of the good guys. "You should care, Johnny Cage. Silence!"
Hey, who cares if it makes any sense?
You should care, Johnny Cage. Silence!
You know, he's a badass. He was good. This is a well-written character. Raiden was great in this. Shang Tsung was great. The biggest problem with Journey Begins was the animations, the CG just didn't work. It's dated. It's awful. It doesn't flow well. The 2D animation, it's not the best, but it's decent. They had done the whole show 2D, it would have been great. But it's funny I say that because there are times when the CG works, I think. Like when you see Johnny Cage, Liu Kang and Sonya on the island and all those other characters in the background, and then you see like the Mortal Kombat temple, the doors open and that looks cool because it's just a CG background. You know, it actually doesn't look too bad when they just combine a background like that. But, you know, the island itself didn't look that great. It looked real cheap. Like the CG, the texturing was real repetitive and that. Even when you see the boat in the entire time in the show, it's not moving. The only time it moves is when they just show the boat pulling up to the island. It's like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and like the camera zoomed right out. But like, all before that, they just showed the boat still in the water, just sitting there. They tried to make it look like it was moving, but the camera was moving. The boat was not moving. It was just sitting straight there, you know, deadpan textures, you know. You know, so it just didn't look good. Like, it's just real obvious, you know, which is a shame. Like I said, I've got this, the Mortal Kombat Journey Begins, I've got this on VHS. I've got the American VHS, and I believe I've got the Laserdisc. Actually, let me just see. I might be able to pull it out for you guys. Yeah, I do have the Mortal Kombat Journey Begins Laserdisc, and I actually have this thanks to Combat, Tabmark99, who was able to get me a copy of this a while ago, which was awesome. He also got me the soundtrack, which was great. Things I have never been able to come across. But the coolest thing about Laserdiscs, and Laserdiscs were before DVDs, but the coolest thing about Laserdisc was you got this large presentation of the artwork. So I'm going to bring it closer here, show you guys. That's the front. I've never opened it. So it says, see the full-length Mortal Kombat movie. But the coolest part about this is the back. We get a real nice, some real nice artwork here of the characters. Johnny Cage, Sonya, Raiden, Liu Kang, Scorpion, Goro, Sub-Zero, and Shang Tsung. You get some of the CG shots from here and one of the 2D shots and a chapter selection. And then it says hidden inside, some of the codes, which is, you know, in the credits. And you get a bit of a rundown here. It's quite nice. You know, and the funny thing is that Mortal Kombat The Journey Begins has never been released on DVD. but it is on Blu-ray. If you bought the Mortal Kombat movie in the United States on Blu-ray, it came with the Journey Begins on it. I have the Australian Mortal Kombat on Blu-ray. It doesn't come with the Journey Begins. Only the US one seems to come with it. This may be the case in other countries like Canada as well. It might also come with it. Anything sort of close to the US release, but I don't know about the rest. Excuse me, I don't know about the rest of the world. So yeah, I'm not sure about the rest of the world. So, but all I can say is that if you buy Mortal Kombat on Blu-ray in the United States, it comes with the Journey Begins. Otherwise, you'll be looking for this Laserdisc or looking for it on VHS tape. It may also be on VCD. I'm not sure about that, but yeah. So that's it for my Mortal Kombat Journey Begins review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, just wanted to talk a bit about it, talk my way through the episode, and give my personal opinions on it. That's how I feel about it. It's not really, like I said, it doesn't hold up at all. But the thing that makes it kind of still cool for me is just those little bits of story. The bit about Goro, the bit about Scorpion, you know, the tournament background, Kung Lao and that, the Temple Monk stuff, you know, stuff like that was never in any other Mortal Kombat. And Raiden in this, like I said, badass, shows up and zaps Johnny Cage. You know what? I said he's never done it in another show. I lied. He did it in Conquest. Raiden zapped Kung Lao to teach him a lesson. That's the only other time that Raiden has attacked the good guys, you know, and he does it not to hurt them, to teach them a lesson. You know, it's discipline, you know. So, yeah, it was fun. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll have another YouTube video for you tomorrow, and we'll probably be looking at Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm very soon in this month, so keep your eyes out for that one. Thanks, guys. See you next time.